Welcome to the Voice of the Agents, the survey where we're going to be discussing portals, PropTech, AI and sustainability. Today in this video we're going to be talking about PropTech specifically. So from the survey, 66% of agents say a lack of seamless integration is their biggest PropTech pain point. Why, in 2025, are so many tools still living in silos? Is it a technical problem or a commercial one? Mr. Kerfuffle himself, Simon Whale.
I think it's definitely a mix of both, isn't it? I mean, I think it is really interesting. We have done a similar survey with people that we engage with on Kerfuffle, and every single year since inception, integration between the different bits has been in the top 3 issues, and it is normally number 1 as well on there. I think it's getting better, no doubt about it. I mean, the CRMs obviously as the sources of truth, the arbiters, they used to have a very, a closed garden kind of approach to things there, but it's not going quick enough or deep enough in terms of where it's going. And I was talking to you about this last night, Victoria, wasn't it? Is in terms of as everything, and I appreciate even I fit on this, it's a spectrum. And what integration means to a particular provider. So you might go to 20 different suppliers and they say, CRMs, and they say, yes, we've got integration with that person. It might be as simple as firing off an email to the CRM company. They think they've done their job. Where what the agent is expecting is two-way integration, full API, passing back and forth there. So I think that's the critical thing. I think one of the most disturbing things for me, though, if is to look at it, is I don't think it's the technical anymore, because as we said, we're going to come on to this. There's a solution, the solution in the room here. A lot of the better CRMs do have their own platforms as well to do this. What's creeping in is this commercialization point where somebody sat on a spreadsheet is saying, if we get 100 PropTech providers paying X, Y, Z, that they will make a really fantastic revenue, and that's stopping the innovation, because ultimately it's stopping how many different providers can integrate.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this has been a challenge for as long as I can remember, and ultimately Wadey's just kind of hit the nail on the head. The CRM is the pinnacle of all of this, because this is where everyone should have this open all day, every day, and everything ultimately needs to feed in and out of their respective CRM. Not having to remember multiple logins, etc., or just having to have those tabs open is a massive pain. And it's the same in any business. It's not just PropTech. It's the same in my business, that we use various different systems and platforms, and nothing integrates, and we'll have to operate silo. To have that integration, I can't believe that it's 2025 and there is now the solution out there that this hasn't already happened. You're seeing it with some of the bigger CRMs when they kind of open up their community, or their be part of our partner program and so forth. And I think that someone, as Wadey mentioned, will be sat there with a spreadsheet open going, if we get this that does this, this will generate this for us. So that's the rules.
What they're missing out on is this is what's really, there is a short-term profit to be made, and again, some of them are charging quite big numbers there, but only the biggest players will do it. So what the CRMs aren't factoring in, that I thought they saw the vision in the early days, is then how much less attractive that makes their CRM, their core business, to people, isn't it? And if you are there looking at it, we see lots of the clients coming to us already, and our first approach is, who have you got in your tech stack, who are you integrating? And that then is defining actually the shortlist we're giving them of there. And if you're not at the table with those integrations, you're presenting an uphill struggle. So it's a case of, remember, genuinely become a platform, and then I think you're going to be well. The only thing I would say is, I'm not saying there shouldn't be margins there, especially if they're doing strategic partnerships. But I take you back to the wider world, when you're looking at it, and obviously everyone knows Salesforce, the global CRM. They famously bought DocuSign, so they're always going to, digital signatures, so they're always going to do the best level of integration. That didn't stop them per se doing integrations with Adobe and other ones on there. That's where I believe it should be. By all means, feel that if you've got something in your own tech stack and you own it, to do the best job possible, but don't tell anybody else, because agents and the public in general hate being told what they can and can't use.
Yeah, I think just start with the technical side. The technical side, if you're a PropTech company trying to connect into CRMs, and there's over 20 CRMs, there's probably about 40 different CRMs. If you have to code integrations onto every single CRM, that could take you years. Like, each integration can take a month plus, like sometimes 2 months. And then you change your product later. You talk to customers, they tell you, we want you to build this great feature, and you build it for them. Then you've got to think about how you go and upgrade 20 to 40 integrations. That could take another 6 months just to upgrade your integrations. So there are big technical challenges with the way things were done. Obviously, that's what we're solving. And like you touched on the commercial side, there's a lot of commercial barriers where some CRMs are thinking quite short term, trying to get as much revenue as they can out of integrations. Problem is, when you fast forward a little bit and some of the other CRMs are fully open with hundreds of integrations connected into them, these CRMs that are locked down and having all these commercial agreements, putting these commercial barriers up, are not just competing with the other CRMs, they're competing with the CRMs plus the entire tech stack connected into them. So I think we are going to see a shift with the commercial side as well over the next couple of years.
You don't often come across an agent who is wax lyrical about their CRM.
No.
Not often.
They have the lowest level of net promoter scores as a category on our platform, which, when it is, I would say, still the foundational part of your PropTech, that's really, really enlightening, isn't it? It should be, you know, and it's not like they're all expensive as well. There's some very well, you know, well-priced ones on there. So I think it does show that the problem with CRMs, isn't it, is they've got to be specialists in generalism. They have to do everything across the board. You know, back in the day before PropTech even invested, and we sold estate agency software, I could walk in, say, it uploads to Rightmove, it'll do a match and it'll do your letters, and I'd walk out with a check. That was the last time I understood tech, by the way. Now, obviously, you know, I don't know how anyone would, you know, this is why it's hats off to the likes of a Street or somebody like that, who in relatively short order has come out with a really, you know, punchy CRM based in mind. It also helps explain, though, why this, you know, you were talking about, Simon, earlier in the excellent report here about you need to add more and more PropTechs into this. It explains why those have exploded, and indeed why a company like Kerfuffle exists, because actually people have seen that this CRM doesn't go as deep or as capable as it could do and should do. So they've done it themselves and they've created that there, and that's all good. I mean, that's how the App Store created, wasn't it, with Apple? I think there's room for both, isn't there? The CRMs being able to code the generic stuff and then let people specialise.
So obviously you were an agent.
Yes.
And you worked in that world. So what agents are telling us in this survey, so good to get your view on if that's your experience as well, is agents desperately want joined up automation, not a patchwork of platforms and logins. Are PropTech firms, in your opinion, I know you work in PropTech, but from your experience of being an agent, are firms focusing too much on shiny features and not enough on the basic workflow that actually makes an agent's day easier? It's too narrow what they're trying to do. They're trying to solve one problem.
It is, and I think if you, like, the CRMs are brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and obviously now that I'm on the PropTech side, I'm seeing a lot of different CRMs that I never knew existed. And I think a lot of the tech that agents use, it's just because they've kind of stumbled across it. It's not necessarily down to marketing and bits and pieces, but it's whoever shouts the loudest seems to be who agents will flock to. Obviously, you've mentioned Street quite a few times because obviously they do a lot of marketing. But in terms of agents and what they just want everything to work. There is nothing more frustrating than sort of going, why am I logging into this one? Why do I have to log into that? And you're typing out Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Smith constantly over and over again. What PropTech is there for is to reduce that admin and reduce that backstage bit that, you know, the public don't see. And it's available, but agents don't know about it. And
you mentioned it earlier before we started the recording in terms of awareness is a big problem.
It's a huge problem.
And you did a search online to kind of find what PropTech came up?
Yeah, so I did a basic search, PropTech companies UK, fairly standard search. And the first one that came up was a sponsored one, Street, we've already mentioned. Then it came up with Art Division, Business Cloud, UK PropTech Association, Seed Table and Property Mark. Well, they're not ones that are really out there, like Art Division I'd heard of, but in terms of PropTech, in terms of your CRMs, your sales progression, your AML, there was nothing like that. And how are agents supposed to find these PropTech companies? Yeah, it's great that Kerfuffle exists, but not everybody knows about Kerfuffle. And actually, Kerfuffle is brilliant. I know that hurts you, Simon, but you know, Kerfuffle is brilliant because you do the MOT side of things, and you've got 10 different AML providers, 10 different inventory suppliers, you know, they're all out there, but actually PropTech can talk to one another. So, you know, obviously we've spoken about the elephant in the room with GlueDog, connecting that all. And it was quite funny, we spoke earlier about an agent that I'd spoken to where he's only got a small team, but with his 4 integrations, that's a team of 50 now, because the PropTech equates to 50 members of staff and it's saving him £1.5 million a year. Wow. So that is a massive, massive difference. So with a small team, PropTech is amazing, but can be amazing.
As you're from you're from the PropTech two companies, is how often do you actually sit and observe an agent using your product end to end? So literally, how often do you go in and actually go, I'm going to actually spend some time and do some ethnographic research and go and watch someone using
We did, and I burst into tears. Genuinely, it showed to me where we've been letting ourselves down in there, and actually I think this is a massive issue with tech companies in general. I know why you do it. You're keen, you're excited. You come up with a fantastic new feature. You think you're going to be Steve Jobs walking onto stage. You say, how fantastic is this? The initial clients say, actually, yeah, that's great. You're onto something there, but we need it to do this. And then you've got to go all the way back to, you know, back to that horrible minimum viable product stage and everything else to make it work for everybody else. And so it's a really big issue. I think that's probably one of the most dangerous things. We were always accused of being in our ivory towers. There's a truth to that.
I think as well, like, obviously, you mentioned, is it 24 is the average?
Yeah, and that's gone up every year since we started.
So I think what we can kind of make an educated guess on this is that there's lots of solutions out there for various different things. Some are incredible, some create the problem that they're trying to solve, and there's a lot of things that people can think, oh, how great would that be in my business? Yeah, and they get on a demo call with the salesperson and they absolutely think, yeah, this is brilliant. We're going to do this. I'm going to go and train the team and we can get them to do this. Then all of a sudden the phone starts ringing and it starts getting really busy. And that bit of investment that you've just made that is 100, 300, 500 pounds a month, whatever it is, now just sits there doing absolutely nothing because you're on a subscription. There is probably a lot of tech out there that is unused on the basis that when you start getting so many different things, it's actually really hard to utilize everything that is available to you.
I mean, my world is more MarTech, marketing technology, rather than PropTech, and actually there's a huge overlap between the two systems in reality. And I'll come on to the next question in a second, is HubSpot did another one of those great CRM Uber solutions in terms of the marketing technology world. They found, I think it was like 2/3 of functionality in tech isn't used. Yeah. So people will pay a subscription, but they won't use 2/3 of the capability.
People used to say that about Reapit, didn't they? It's a Ferrari, but people use it like a Fiesta.
That's why we always included the training in there. The founder of the business
how many agents
genuinely
took
understood
up
it.
that?
Well, that was interesting. So yeah, the ability to go out and deliver training as it used to be in the early days, you know, in office every 6 months. You know, normally you would pay £1,500 for that. The minute it became free, they didn't take advantage. It's that classic thing that be careful about.
Skin in the game.
That you don't place a value on free, do you?
No, you don't.
Which is a
at all,
problem.
freemium,
You moan
isn't it?
about it. You moan about things like setup fees, but moaning about setup fees or training consultancy days does make you actually really appreciate it and get the most out of it.
That's true. Yeah.
I think one of the things that's quite interesting as well, though, is, you know, systems like Street have rightly got, you know, the attention. I mean, I actually watched the I watched the Apple launch, and I thought it was really, really poor compared to the Street one. They're doing really, really clever there. It's not without use. I just got it as a sexy bit of kit, which I never thought you would talk about, you know, a CRM package. It has a massive benefit though, because obviously the staff genuinely like doing it, and because of that, the data is going to be more accurate. We are much better, actually. We're always beating ourselves up. I can tell you now, the data that we store, the data accuracy, boring as it is as a hygiene factor, is far better in this country than I've seen in Australia and America and around the world and anything else. You know, I was in the UAE the other day, and they barely, if they take down the name and the mobile, they're doing anything else. Now, it's still not great, by the way, in this country. The key thing is, we're going to talk about AI later there, and I don't want to tell people not to bother watching me, because that would be wrong. Don't bother, guys. If you don't have a laser focus on making sure your data is up, you can throw as much AI at it. What's it meant to do with a name? It can't do anything, can it? The more you can segment that data in classic MarTech, you know, terms and everything else, the more that the AI is going to be able to do for you as a business.